Buckle up because you're about to see one of the craziest clips we've ever received from a Tesla owner. Let's start from the beginning. The submitter was driving her Model Y in Charlotte, North Carolina when a woman driving an SUV suddenly drifted into her lane and hit her Tesla from behind. The submitter tried to brake after the impact, but the SUV was going so fast it was pushing her down the interstate. As soon as she was able to switch lanes, the woman sped past her and hit a Loomis armored truck, causing it to flip over. Our submitter stopped and called 911 before making sure everyone was okay. First responders were quick to arrive, and the paramedics were able to render aid to the two men in the armored truck and the woman who'd caused the accident. The submitter filed a claim with the other driver's insurance provider, and the initial repair cost came to $15,000. Hold on to your handlebars because that's only the first of 20 clips we have lined up. Roll 'em! Donald was driving his Model 3 on a highway in Tampa, Florida. He was in the left lane when traffic suddenly slowed down for a tow truck. Multiple drivers, including Donald, slammed on their brakes and swerved, but unfortunately, the driver in front of Donald slammed into the back of the tow truck with a car already on the lift. Donald pulled over and checked on the drivers involved. Everyone was okay, but we have to imagine this gave the tow truck driver quite the scare. As for the cars, Donald is certain both of them will be deemed total losses and that the tow truck dropped them both off at a junkyard. Jeff had parked his Model 3 at Home Depot on a windy, stormy afternoon in Boston, Massachusetts. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew some shopping carts out of a cart corral. Jeff was in the store when he got a Sentry Mode alert. One of the shopping carts had rammed into his trunk lid, causing a minor dent and leaving behind some orange paint. Jeff thinks the dent should be able to be fixed with paintless dent removal, so he's not going to go through insurance to get it repaired. This submitter's wife was in their Tesla parked in a grocery store parking lot when a lady with a young kid in her front passenger seat drove an SUV into a set of parked cars behind the Tesla. The people inside the grocery store indicated that the driver had just been inside the store with the kid. They said she appeared to be very intoxicated and the kid had been doing all of the shopping. The CHP came and took a report, and the couple provided the footage from their Tesla as evidence. We can see his wife quickly get out of the car when the accident happened to try and get a picture of the SUV, but she was unsuccessful. Goldman received 2 warnings on his phone, the first telling him that Sentry Mode has triggered the alarm state, followed by another telling him the car alarm has been triggered. A thief smashed the back window and folded down the back seat, but Goldman hadn't left anything there, so the thief calmly walked away. Goldman filed an insurance claim and a report with the Oakland Police Department. Repairing the window cost him $1,000. Goldman sent along this message: "Please be careful when you park in San Francisco and the East Bay Area." Stephen was taking a break at a local coffee shop. As he looked out the window into the parking lot, he noticed a white Model 3 parked opposite his Model 3 with its trunk open. Stephen watched for a minute or two, but the owner didn't seem to be nearby. He couldn't see his own Tesla from where he was seated, so he activated Live Sentry View, only to discover there was a woman desperately trying to get into his white Model 3. Stephen finally understood what was happening and rushed out of the cafe to end the woman's confusion by pointing out that she was trying to get into the wrong car. When Stephen downloaded the Sentry Mode footage that night, he found over 9 minutes of video showing her getting increasingly exasperated by her predicament. Her own car visible in the background the entire time. Sentry Mode had even captured footage of her popping the trunk and frunk of her own car using her phone app. She was very embarrassed when Stephen informed her of her mistake. Hey, we get it. There are a lot of white Tesla Model 3s out there, so we can't really blame her for making this error. Alex was heading home when he got rear-ended by a Toyota before finding out that they had also been rear-ended. The impact pushed Alex's Tesla into the SUV in front of him, making it a 4-car accident. The driver of the SUV in front of Alex got out of their car, looked around, and then just left. The officer who arrived later recorded his license plate number from the Sentry Mode footage and told Alex they'd be looking for him. Alex was a bit shaken up, which we can tell because he was shaking the camera a bit. Check out the smiley face Alex had drawn a week before. He thinks it was pretty ironic that the smiley face was slapped by another car. This submitter was driving his Model 3 home from a skiing trip with his friends when he saw a truck approaching in his rearview mirror. At first, he didn't think it would roll coal on him since Teslas are pretty common in his state and nobody around there seems to mind them. Instead, it sped up and rolled coal all over his car. Brandon was with some friends at his house when they heard a loud bang outside. When they went to see what had happened, they found 2 wrecked cars. The driver of the small crossover had crossed double yellow lines when traffic wasn't clear and had hit a young driver, causing his van to go up on 2 wheels. Thankfully, everyone was okay, but the driver who'd crossed the double yellow lines claimed they'd been going straight, which the video proves isn't true. Brandon gave a copy of the video to all parties involved as well as to the police. Bruce Banner was driving home from IKEA with his wife and 2 daughters in the car. Is it really a good idea for the Hulk to shop at IKEA? I feel like every trip I take there leaves me pretty frustrated. Anyway, while on their way home, they watched another driver overcorrect while trying to turn through an intersection. They tried to turn out before Bruce came down the hill, but they overcorrected and ended up in a ditch. Bruce went back to double check on them and make sure they were okay, and both occupants said they were fine. The driver admitted she'd been having a conversation with her friend, and when she pulled forward, she didn't see Bruce until it was too late. She overcorrected and spun out into the ditch. Vincent was driving his Model Y to work one morning in Melbourne, Australia when he pulled up behind another Model Y with the vanity license plate R2D2. Vincent chuckled to himself a bit, and then another Tesla with the vanity plate Fast EV pulled up right next to it. Gotta love those Tesla vanity plates. Adam's Sentry Mode was triggered when his neighbor, who also drives a Model 3, parked his car behind Adam's. Adam lives in an apartment complex, and Sentry Mode gets triggered multiple times per day, so he usually doesn't look at the alerts. One boring day, however, he started checking out a few of them, and he wasn't disappointed. The Tesla-owning neighbor who'd parked behind him obviously knew about Sentry Mode and decided to give Adam's Tesla a show. We'd better cue up the right music because this is starting to turn into a synchronized dance show. Adam says the next time he sees his neighbor, he'll have to compliment him on his performance. Joseph noticed he was missing a credit card and his ID while buying some food down the road. He figured he might have pulled them out at home and forgot to put them back in his wallet. When he got back to his car, he discovered a Sentry Mode alert. Normally, he doesn't even watch them, but this time, he's glad he did. These good Samaritans made his day. Had he not watched the Sentry Mode video, he would have never realized they'd found his cards and placed them on top of his car. Joseph hadn't seen the cards while getting in the car. He's thankful for these kind people, and for Sentry Mode. Danny was using a free charging station at Bay Fair Center while he and his wife were inside shopping. Suddenly, he got an alert that his Tesla had been unplugged, then another saying it had been plugged in and was charging. Danny told his wife he thought someone had tried to unplug his car. Sure enough, another EV owner had pulled up next to him and tried to unplug his car. Danny told us because he's a smart Wham Bam Teslacam viewer, he'd purchased an adapter lock so the other guy wasn't able to unplug him. You can find the link to that adapter in the video description. Vic was driving his Model 3 in Woodbridge, Virginia when traffic suddenly came to a complete stop. Vic told us he slammed hard on his brakes, but something even harder was the car that plowed right into him. The lady's insurance provider accepted responsibility and she was very apologetic. The initial repair estimate came to $7,500 US. Josh was driving his Model 3 in Austin, Texas when he got front row seats to some road rage. The drivers of a red Chevy truck and a black Jeep SUV were swerving toward each other, and Josh was afraid there would be a serious accident. The Chevy and the Jeep pulled up next to each other, but then something made the Jeep driver immediately pull over. Josh told us it's hard to see in the video, but he saw the driver of the Chevy truck stick his hand out the window, and it looked like he was holding a black object, but he can't be sure. What do you think caused the Jeep driver to abort his road rage? Klaus was driving on a highway in Los Angeles when a vehicle cut off a couple of bikers, nearly hitting one of them. The second biker got really angry and broke off the car's side view mirror. Jetstorm was sitting in a Wendy's parking lot with his friends, eating in his car. If you're disturbed by the idea of getting fries all over the inside of a Tesla, just hold on, because that's not even the disturbing part. Jetstorm also has an aftermarket dashcam that records audio, and they were also singing karaoke. I'm not sure if I should subject you to this or not, but here we go.
I stay up too late. Got nothing in my brain.
That's what people say. That's what people say. Oh, sorry, I got a little carried away there. Unfortunately, the karaoke isn't the only tragedy in this story. A driver was about to exit his vehicle when he somehow put his car in reverse, and while hanging out of the vehicle, he crashed into the Wendy's drive-thru counter.
What the? His foot! Oh!
Jetstorm told us the driver said he was fine and they didn't need to worry about him. He even went back into Wendy's to eat his food. Let's listen in on the conversation they had in the car after the accident.
What the just happened?
Jay, you have a Dashcam, right?
Yeah, I do.
Let's shake it
There's
out.
no way he's just leaving. Okay, he's not.
Real. We gotta see.
His foot?
We gotta see what it looks like.
No, oh, it was an old man. No.
Sam was behind a crane truck when it signaled to turn right from the left lane. Another driver didn't notice and kept going, making it impossible for the crane truck driver to see the car. Thankfully, the car escaped with inches to spare. I don't know if the driver even realized what happened. Sam told us the driver of the silver Nissan was looking at him as if to say, "Did you just see that too?" Martin had parked his brand new Model Y on the street in Seattle, Washington when he got a Sentry Mode alert that his alarm had been triggered. A distracted Lexus driver sideswiped several parked cars before taking off. Martin rushed out to find car parts on the ground and his car all banged up. Martin reviewed the Sentry Mode footage and was relieved to see that it had captured the license plate number of the offender. He called their insurance provider to file a claim, only to discover that the Lexus driver had already called them. The Lexus driver had actually lied to their insurance provider, giving a completely different explanation for what had happened. Martin sent them his Teslacam footage, resulting in the driver being charged with felony hit and run and felony insurance fraud. What did we learn? While you type your answer in the comments, we'll tell you that Martin's repair estimate came to $3,334 US. Don't forget to subscribe.